We got work to do.
Welcome to Highway to Hell, a supernatural podcast. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Christine.
And this week we're discussing season 5, episode 6, I Believe the Children Are Our Future. I was like, I need to hit that are our, because god damn it, I was going to fuck it up.
It's a tongue twister. I couldn't even say it the last time when you had just told me the name of it. It's like, no.
Yeah, I forgot what you thought I had said. But if you guys don't remember, which I did not remember this episode. This is the one where a young boy connected to mysterious deaths and injuries is revealed to have an important role in the apocalypse.
That's kind of weird.
What do you think about that description?
I mean, it's kind of funny to phrase it as like he has an important role in the apocalypse because it feels like the apocalypse is already happening. I don't know. And he's just kind of a wrench that's thrown in, like a big wrench. But I don't know. This was kind of a funny episode to me. I was thinking about it earlier because it seemed like a mix of like kind of the campy episodes that we just recently had a hard time with and an episode where like a lot of important and cool shit happens. Mm-hmm. It was like just mush both of those together and you get this episode.
Yeah, well, I guess the campiness of it that I remember at least is these like little moments with Cass that are just lovely, just amazing and great. Oh, but also of course, I guess you mean, the whole like fairy tale thing.
Yeah, right? Like the silly part of this episode was like, I don't know where you're going with this. It's really dragging out a long time. Right. What the fuck is happening? It's kind of silly, like not that funny or something because there was no like, it wasn't connecting to anything for most of the episode.
It was really silly, but also really serious.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It was a weird episode.
Like the silliness was like really silly. Really silly. Like, I don't know. What are some of the silly episodes we've had?
Like bedtime stories. It made me think of bedtime stories.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I like that.
Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, we have this like woman and her poor body being taken over and used without her consent.
That's really awful.
Yeah. And as someone who is about to have a baby, that was frightening to me. I was like, what? She is in a basement. She's alone. It looks terrifying.
Yeah, it looks horrible. It was really, I don't know. It went super dark. It was just really, like, she's traumatized for life.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And we see why. Yeah.
Horrible.
Well, you know what? Now that we're talking about this, I have some thoughts on this. So it was directed by Charles Beeson, who last did The Rapture.
Okay.
And then get this, Christine. It was written by Daniel Laughlin and Andrew Dabb, the writing team behind such works as Yellow Fever, After School Special, and Jump the Shark.
Oh.
But this is kind of like the same thing with Yellow Fever. It was incredibly silly. It was hilarious. I thought it was more funny than this episode. But then it had these really dark subjects that it was dealing with and not really dealing with it very well, you know?
And maybe because they weren't giving it a whole lot of attention. Like it felt like it was just kind of like smushed into like the long scenes where they were trying to figure out what's happening. And there's like the fucking tooth fairy thing and that monster. And then the monster from the beginning with the itching powder and the electrocuting. Like it just kept going on. And then like halfway through, they
Yeah.
start dealing with all this super heavy shit. And that makes sense. Like maybe part of why I didn't really like it that way was because it was like, why wasn't it a whole episode just about this? Like, why did you need that
Yeah.
setup and juxtaposition?
Yeah. We only really spent a small portion there. And yeah, and it didn't. This kid is supposed to be like all powerful. And I understand, yeah, he's like 9 years old or something. And the way he's kind of using his powers right now is
Mm-hmm.
through his belief in magic and urban legends and all of that.
Well, and I was kind of thinking too, like if they were trying to just have a way for Sam and Dean to find that kid, his powers could have manifested in a different way. Like they could have been alerted to him in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
They could have been maybe more serious or just not that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Mm-hmm.
it would have felt more cohesive maybe if they had handled that part of it differently. And it just really did drag out at the beginning. Like even the first scene with like the babysitter at home with the kid, that's a really long scene. And like the stuff happens at the beginning that doesn't have anything to do with it. Like the kid in the closet with the pencil in his head. Like I guess that's sort of like, oh haha kid jokes, but then it still doesn't, it's not the same thing as like what they're talking about later, like old wives' tales. Like that's just a gross, scary joke. It's just I don't know. I apparently
Uh-huh.
had like a whole rant on that
Yeah.
somewhere in my brain. And now it came out.
Well, and then also, I thought they had set up that kid in a way where it was like, oh, okay, this is the main kid that we're going to be dealing with
Yeah.
this episode.
And then he wasn't.
Because we spent so much time with him and we got to know him, like his personality. I felt like the kid that we ended up getting to know, or like we did spend more time with, he had no personality at all. And so it was just like, this is odd.
Yeah, he was pretty cute,
You
but he
know?
wasn't as like, I don't know. The other kid was a little more natural.
Yeah. And maybe it's because they were trying to go for he has a dark side kind of thing. But I feel like, because they were kind of trying to relate it to Sam's experience, right? Which I was maybe a little bit too on the nose for me. But I wonder if there was another like treatment of the script where this was like way darker and Jesse was like basically killing people intentionally,
Like
or not
unintentionally
intentionally,
or
but kind
something.
of like unintentionally but more directly, people who are bullying him or whatever that might be. And then they were like, you know what, we don't want to have this kid be a murderer or anything and have to deal with that. But I don't know. Yeah. And so they were just like, let's make this a little bit lighter. I don't know. It didn't all work for me.
I don't know
So
either.
I'm glad to hear that it didn't all work for you. We're on the same page. So during the recap, we see that Dean was mad at Sam for starting the apocalypse and setting Lucifer free, but they're working together again as partners. And that's a short summary of what the recap shows us. But I mean, it works.
That's basically it.
Now we're in Alliance, Nebraska. And a girl's watching TV. She's brushing her hair. I thought this was funny because she was like super into the movie that she's watching, though there's literally nothing interesting happening on the movie, like on the screen.
Nothing.
It's like
no
a farmhouse and a car and a very, very still shot.
Yeah,
like, no.
super still. It doesn't seem like a scary movie. But I guess now that I'm thinking about it, was that part of Cujo? Was she watching Cujo?
So it ended up like, because we see later on she goes back to it and it's actually Cujo, because we see the dog come out.
Funny. So I guess it's like supposed to be scary, but I've never seen that movie, so I was like, this is stupid. She's just watching a car.
That's how I felt. I was like, what's happening here? But maybe they were just trying to time it perfectly with that dog jumping out and just, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I did have a note that Robert Singer actually produced Cujo. So that was, a little reference to him. So yeah, so she's really into the movie, and then she hears a noise and calls out for Jimmy. She walks up to the closet that's in the living room, and she opens it and finds a boy on the floor with an arrow sticking out of his head and blood all over his head. But she knows it's a prank. She gets mad at him, and he, laughs and says, "Oh, that was a good one." And she sends him up to bed, but also not before he asks, like, to touch her boob, which is just, he's
That's
at that
just
age.
silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like 12 or something. 11.
Yeah. And so she goes back to her movie, and when Cujo jumps out, that's when she hears barking coming outside of the house. So she goes to the window to check it out, and we kind of get this shot outside, but we don't see anything there. Cut to the parents getting home, and the dad tells his wife, "I'll take Amber home. Don't wait up," which I thought was a little bit weird. I was like, what? Like, don't wait up? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Unless it's late, like super late or something. But yeah, that's a little funny.
Yeah. And he turns off the TV, which now just has static on it. And we now see that Amber's actually on the couch, and it looks like she's sleeping. So he tries to shake her awake, but then he gets blood on his hands, and he turns her over, and her head is just like all scratched up. And she's definitely dead.
Yeah, just like definitely dead. She's all shredded.
Right. And it was interesting because she was watching Cujo. A dog barked outside. Like, it just seemed like it was going to be like a woof or like
a dog thing,
dog related thing. Yeah, because it really. I don't know how she did that. I mean, I know she had press on nails, but damn,
Yeah. And she lost some. That was gruesome.
Yeah, no, it really is. So we get the credits, and Sam and Dean are waving their FBI badges at the coroner. They'd like to see Amber's body, and the coroner takes them back. He shows them where her head is totally scratched up, and apparently that they had found a press-on nail in her temporal lobe inside of it. Yeah. Although, I don't know about you, Christine. I was kind of like, I'm calling bullshit on this because I can't even like open a soda can with my press-on nails. Like, they just pop
honestly,
off.
even if she got acrylic or anything, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how you could do that. And then the coroner's like, yeah, well, it would take hours, but it's possible. And it's like, no, it's not though. Not on that level.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could scratch the shit out of yourself if you're on PCP, but you're not gonna like literally scratch your brains out. I mean, I guess we know it was because of the powers, but even with the nails would break. The fingers wouldn't do it. It doesn't.
They would, yeah.
No.
And I think press on, and I think she's a teen. I'm like, okay, she got those at Walgreens. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're not like
they were glued on.
They're not acrylics.
Right. So they asked what could have possibly made her scratch her brains out. And he's like, OCD, PCP, or she could have just had a phantom itch. And, he kind of says, once you think of an itch or once you have it in your brain, you just can't stop scratching it. And he like leaves. And then Sam and Dean turn to each other, and they're both like scratching themselves. Like, yeah, thinking about an itch that they might have. So we next see Sam and Dean at the house that Amber was babysitting at. Sam asks the parents if they felt any cold spots, and Dean is walking around the house, and then he bumps into Jimmy. And then it was like, okay, here goes Dean, the child whisperer. I guess we're getting a little bit of this again. So he asks Jimmy if he saw anything strange that night. And Jimmy gets like super nervous. He's like, "No, sir. No,
He's
of
such a
course
little
not.
weirdo.
I didn't see anything." Like, I know.
He's so nervous.
It's just so obvious that he knows something. And Dean tells him that he knows he's lying, and he gets down eye to eye with him. And he's like, "We gonna start talking truth, or are we gonna have to take a ride downtown?"
Poor kid.
So Sam and Dean, they walk outside and they're discussing the fact, Jimmy's confession. And I could just imagine him like being like Chunks, like, "Oh, in the 4th grade.
That's exactly what I was picturing too.
Like,
oh.
I pulled this prank and this and that, But what he had done to Amber was he put itching powder in her hairbrush. And which is
stupid kid.
Terrible. I would, because oh my God. Sometimes I
know, just thinking
get
about
like,
it, I'm feeling itchy. Stop it.
Itchy. Yeah. Sometimes I do get like that, especially when I'm like feeling anxious or something like that. I get really itchy. And it's just like that feeling like that you can't like get rid of the itch. I would have killed him.
Yeah.
That little kid.
Yeah. He'd be 6 feet under.
Yeah. So, but they really don't think that's what it could have been. Like, I mean, itching powder, but it's like, it's prank itching powder. Like, really would it have done all of that?
Mm-hmm.
So, but just then, Sam receives a call and says he'll be right there. And they arrive at a nursing home. The coroner is taking a body out of a man who got electrocuted. So he's like, "Oh yeah, the old man inside, he's not making any sense." And they look inside. It is this older man who's like sitting there looking out the window. He looks so sad.
So sad.
Yeah.
Like kind of broke my heart.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, that's not fair to this sweet old man to think he killed somebody.
He does seem very sweet because they go over to him and he says that he didn't know it would work. All he did was shake his hand, and he opens his own palm to show a joke buzzer on it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, Sam and Dean kind of look at each other like, what the fuck? Like, why would that electrocute someone? But yeah, like obviously he was playing like a old 50s style joke,
An old man joke.
Trying to relive the good old days, and he killed someone. It's so sad.
So sad. I really felt for him.
I know. So, God, this next scene is really like one of the most silliest scenes.
The most silliest scenes.
Most silliest. Because they go back to the motel. And Dean prepares himself with some goggles and some gloves. And then he walks up to a raw ham thigh bone. Like comically large size.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's gigantic.
Like the kind you would give to a dog in Looney Tunes.
The
basically.
Flintstones.
Yeah, or the Flintstones. And he has the buzzer in his palm, and then he like just slaps the ham and the ham is electrocuted so much that it's like cooked all the way.
It looks delicious.
Yeah, it looked like
once Dean starts eating it, like the pieces of meat, he just made it look so good. I was so hungry when I was watching it, and I was like, "Oh, that looks delicious." And then this also had the part where, the part from the like soon segment from last time, where Sam's like, "Hit it, Mr. Wizard," and he like throws down his helmet thing,
his own goggles. Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck?
That is so
Mr. Wizard.
Yeah. Now you know the context of this. I think it's funny because he looks like he's about to enjoy it a little bit too. But Dean like starts to cut himself some ham as they discuss. He's like just eating it, which I would have. I don't know.
that's
I would
pretty
have felt
bold.
uncomfortable with that. Like, how do you know it's gonna really be cooked?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, wouldn't it taste different? I don't know. I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah, and you have to be careful with pork.
Yeah, you really, really do. You didn't take its temperature.
Come on, Dean.
So they're like, maybe they're cursed objects. Are there any links? And they mention that one was made in China, one was made in Mexico, but they were bought from the same store. So it's like, yeah, you guys, you think like that's a pretty big link.
Duh.
Hello. So Sam and Dean walk into the Conjurarium.
Yeah.
Sure, which is a really fun name for a joke shop. And Dean immediately grabs a whoopee cushion. He just goes straight to it. He's like, all right, like this is just his kind of place.
Yeah. Look what I found.
And
such a child.
He walks up to the register and he pays $5 for this whoopee cushion. $5. Is that how much it costs? Jesus.
Hey, I guess if you want high quality materials.
I really guess so. I mean, maybe the whoopee cushion itself was made in the USA or something, like because it's really expensive. But they ask the owner if he gets a lot of customers, and he says not really, since those. Oh my God, I feel like we've gotten so many in a row, like of these people like talking about Gen Y and and all of this stuff. He's like, not really, since all those teenagers care about is their iPhones and kissing vampire movies.
That was really funny. I was like, oh, that was Kristen.
Oh, that was so me. Yes, we're talking 2009. Are you kidding me? I am sad that I no longer own my Edward, my Team Edward cup that I got at the movie theaters when I was watching. Was that New Moon around that time when that one was released?
Dude, what happened?
I know. My mom probably threw it away.
Oh,
like,
no. Moms throw everything away.
Does she even know? Well, and I told you, right, that she threw away like all of my Disney movies on VHS.
I think you did, and I forgot. That's awful. Mom, what the?
And it's funny because like when I was there recently, she mentioned it to me. She's like, remember all those Disney movies that I threw away? Do you know how valuable they are now? I'm like, yeah, Mom, I know how valuable they are. I knew that back when you were throwing them away. What the heck,
I knew it was a bunch of bullshit then. Oh my God.
Yeah.
God, Mom.
So
my mom's thrown away a lot of my stuff, and it always pisses me off. I think I've talked about that in this company. Oh, it's so frustrating. I'm like, hey, where's my blah, blah, blah? And she's like, oh, I think I threw it away. And I'm like, what? I'm literally asking you for it by name. It meant something to me. It was mine. What the fuck? Why did you throw it away? Oh, right. It made me crazy.
Just keep all my stuff in a box.
No, this was while I was living at home.
It
wasn't even like I came home after not living there and she'd thrown some of my stuff away. It was like, I'm living in your house and she's throwing my shit away.
Oh, God. Yeah. I see. Oh, man. I'm still hoping that there'll be like a lost box, because I actually don't know where any of my Twilight books are at.
I was going to ask you, didn't you say that you couldn't find them?
Yeah, I left them behind and I couldn't find them. So I think she still has them. And hopefully, because of course I displayed my Twilight cup, my Team Edward cup with my Twilight books on my bookshelf. I'm hoping that it's there. It's all together. It's in that box. Yeah. I'll keep you guys updated.
I really want to know. Yeah. Let us know if you find the treasures at Mom's.
Hopefully. Yeah.
I hope so.
So, yeah, accurate. We do all care about our iPhones and kissing vampire movies. That's all we care about. Not stupid $5 whoopee cushions.
Accurate.
But then Dean asks, like, hey, dude, are you like really angry at them? Because he just says it like really vehemently, like these fucking kids, basically. And the owner, he's like, yeah, I am. He starts to get like really worked up.
Yeah, he's like all riled up.
And yeah. And Dean accuses him then of like wanting revenge. And then he grabs a rubber chicken from a stall next to him and he slaps it on the counter and he electrocutes it with the joke buzzer until it melts. And the owner reacts in a way that was like,
it's pretty extreme.
Yeah. He jumps back and he falls to the floor and he's like literally shaking. Like can't talk.
Yeah. He is shaken.
And
totally. And it was like, whoa.
I don't know.
Are you okay?
Maybe he was a little funny because Sam is also kind of perturbed by the owner's reaction. And he tells Dean that he doesn't think he's some kind of wizard. And they leave. So, well, a weird scene, all in all.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, it was kind of strange. The end of it in particular.
Yeah. So we next see a girl being tucked into bed, and her dad tells her that the tooth fairy will come if she puts her tooth underneath her pillow. And she's like, no way. That sounds creepy.
I love this little girl so much. She's like, so some freak is going to come into my room? No.
It is
like showing
smart
up her dad.
Of her. Yeah. And I do love that. So it cuts to later on that night and she, I guess, has woken up. Maybe she's changed her mind or something, but she's still like, you know what? I really don't want to deal with this fucking tooth fairy in my room. Let me put this tooth underneath my dad's pillow. So she does just that. And she leaves and he rolls over. And then we see this huge man come into his bedroom. He's super scary looking.
And
like
little
he
wings.
has well, yeah. Because
he
has like a scar on his face and long greasy hair. He looks disgusting. He's dressed in a pink tutu with wings.
It's so weird.
It's a choice.
And this guy was, I don't know if you remember him from Elf, when he makes friends with Betty in the mailroom.
Oh no, I didn't remember him.
Well, I've seen this movie 5 million times. So Betty gets sent down to the mailroom because he's distracting his dad at work. And he makes friends with this mail guy, and it's this guy. And then they end up getting drunk together because the guy tells him that the liquor is maple syrup. And then they're drunk and like talking to each other like drunk friends. And this guy is like, you know, I'm young. I'm only 27 years old. I got my life ahead of me. But he's clearly like 50.
Yeah. Oh my god.
That's really funny.
Was he as scary looking as he was in this role?
Pretty grungy.
Man. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I have to go back to that.
Oh man.
Well, and then he like uses some pliers to pull one of the dad's teeth out.
No.
Which is scary as heck.
I don't like that.
So the next morning, Sam's and Dean are at the hospital. They're checking up on the guy. And you could see him, he's all like his head is wrapped up and he just looks all swollen.
Yeah, poor thing.
Like, poor guy. And Sam walks outside of the door and Dean is flirting with a nurse. And
Weird.
Dean, I know, yeah, and it's funny because this is like, again, second episode in a row where, you know, they're supposed to be working as partners. They're supposed to be taking things seriously. Also, the apocalypse is happening. Like, there's a lot of shit going down. And Dean is making Sam do all the work. And then he's like flirting
Yep.
and drinking and just
just having a good old time.
chilling. Yeah. And I don't think we've seen that from Dean since season 3 when he was like, "Oh, I'm going to die
True.
anyway," like but it's interesting that he's choosing to do all of that. And maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll learn a little bit more about why he's acting like that. Maybe it's similar. Maybe he's like, "Well, our future is
fuck it. Now we're going to die. I'm going to be Michael's vessel or whatever."
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so, because it does seem to be a trend.
Mm-hmm. So, Dean was working though a bit, after the nurse leaves, he does update Sam about a man whose stomach blew up because he ate Pop Rocks and Coke. And oh God, I think this is my favorite part of the episode. And a man whose face froze that way.
Yeah.
Just because I love his delivery of that line. And then Sam's like how? And Dean kind of looks around. He's kind of shaken up and he like pulls his mouth open with his fingers to show him the face. And then like he lets go and he's like, I mean, God, what are you going to do? Like he just, I don't know.
It was hilarious. And as soon as he said it too, I knew what he meant because that's such a dad joke. Your face is going to freeze that way.
Right.
It's classic. And then he says it and I was like, oh no, this poor person.
Like how many times have we heard that?
Yeah. And it actually happened to them.
So they go over the list, the joke buzzer, the itching powder, the Pop Rocks and Coke, and the face freezing thing. And it all sounds like these myths that parents would tell little kids, and now they're coming true.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm sure I heard the face freezing one. I know, although I still kind of believe this is true and it may be true, like don't watch the screen too closely or you're gonna go blind.
Yeah, see,
like that sort of thing.
The thing. I don't really understand the connection between all of these silly things. And is that just me? Am I like missing something obvious? Because I know it's supposed to, they say like toward the end, it's these things that like kids are told. And, and so I was describing it to John earlier and he was like, oh, kind of like old wives' tales. Like, and then while I was describing the episode, he was like, were teenage boys going blind? So he even guessed like one of the ones that they talk about.
Well, and I had never heard that one before.
Yeah, I hadn't either. I think I've heard the hairy hands one, but I can't remember how it goes. It's so gross. But
yeah.
But that doesn't, like, how is the tooth fairy? What's the thing with the tooth fairy? And what's the thing with the itching powder? How is that an old wives' tale? I feel like I maybe just don't know them or...
Yeah, because like the tooth fairy, I mean, that's kind of like a positive thing. It's like, do this and this will happen. I do see it more as like a fairy tale rather than, and I don't even think like old wives' tale or like urban legend, like I don't even think those
like
descriptors
sayings.
Work. These are like white lies or like, that parents tell, like warnings, because I thought of like don't eat watermelon seeds because the watermelon's gonna grow in your stomach. Like that's something that was told to me.
I think there was a whole Rugrats episode about that.
Probably, right? Like I can imagine Chucky like getting really anxious about something like that. Or, I think this one is true. Like, don't swallow your gum because it's going to be stuck forever. I mean, it's not forever.
Stuck in your stomach for like 5 years or something.
I think I heard 7 years when I was little, but yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So, yeah, like stuff like that. But you're right that the tooth fairy stuff, the itching powder stuff, how many kids have their hands on itching powder? Like...
I don't know. They didn't make that fit enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Well, and this next one that we learned, so they leave the hospital, and back at the motel, Dean is still eating ham. It's now in a sandwich. This did look delicious, actually.
Yeah, I'm down for all the ham foods.
Yeah. And Sam comes in with a map showing that all of the incidents occurred within a 2-mile radius of each other. So, which Sam just always going off and doing research. And it shows, like, the map shows that there is a house in the middle of this that circle. And Dean asks if their motel is within that radius, and Sam says, "Yeah, why?" And then Dean holds up his palm, and it's hairy. And then
this is really funny, but I was like,
Sam,
oh God.
Yeah, it grossed me out. I think just because his palm was hairy, and like, that just grossed me out.
He's like, what? I was bored, and that nurse was hot. Gross.
Yes, which was such a, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Childish thing for him. I don't know, because I just expected him to, like, call her up or something. If
right, we don't need to know that you fapped while thinking about her. Like, it was so funny.
Right. And then Sam's like, well, you can go blind if you do that also. And Dean's like, yeah, let's get over to that house pretty quick. And then Sam warns him not to shave with his razor, but Dean's like walking away, and he gives a smirk like, yeah, of course I am. So gross. Gonna do that, So gross. So yeah, we learn about that. I hadn't heard that one before. So at the farmhouse, Sam is about to break in, like he's not even gonna bother knocking. And Dean has a demon knife ready, but a boy opens the door. So I don't know why they instantly thought, oh yeah, this is demonic activity. Let's have a demon knife ready.
I don't know what tipped him off to that. I mean, maybe just because it's a knife or something, but there was nothing so far that made it seem like that was the deal.
Yeah. So they flash their FBI badges at the boy, and he checks it out. Like, he actually looks at them a little bit more closely, which I loved. And he calls them out for breaking in. They ask where his parents are, but he says they're working. And he brings them inside, though, because they asked, like, oh, well, we have a few questions.
I loved how, like, skeptical he was. I did like this kid, actually. He wasn't, like I said, he wasn't as natural as the first kid, but I still liked him a lot.
Yeah. Well, and I guess it's because, like, he has kind of a different upbringing, right? Because when he brings him in, he goes to the kitchen and he's, like, cooking himself some soup. And Sam has this moment where he, like, looks at him and he's like, doesn't say anything. And the kid's like, what? Like, I'm cooking soup. Or he says something like that. And Sam's like, no, I can relate. Like, I just expected him to just start, like, bawling.
Yeah, me too. Like, oh God, that's what I used to do.
Yeah. And we see Dean in the background kind of roll his eyes like, oh, here we go. Like, he's going to bring that shit up again. So Dean grabs a picture that Jesse drew off the fridge. It's the Tooth Fairy, and it looks exactly like that one guy. So Dean asks him about itching powder, and Jesse says, it'll make you scratch your brains out. Pop rocks and Coke, combine it, and it'll put you in the hospital. And the buzzer, it'll electrocute you. So it's just, word for word, perfect. Yeah. But then Dean says, no, it won't. Like the joke buzzer, it won't electrocute you. That's not true. It's just a gag, and it won't actually hurt you. And Jesse is like, oh, really? And, Dean tells him, yep, that's right. And afterwards, Dean, like immediately afterwards, Dean pushes the buzzer on Sam.
I don't blame him.
Which totally freaks him out.
Yeah. Fuck
but
you.
Look at that. It doesn't hurt him. But yeah, no, it's like you had and they kind of like yell about it afterwards, right? So Sam's so pissed. He's like, you had a hunch. You had a hunch and you wanted to test that on me. Yeah, and it worked. So they asked the question, like, how is the kid doing this? And they take off to do some more research. So, yeah, this is kind of where the episode goes from like super silly stuff, all of this urban legend, whatever you want to call it, stuff, to okay, we need to learn more about this kid. And then it gets like darker and darker from there. So at the motel room, Sam walks in. He's found some info on Jesse Turner. He was adopted. The birth records are sealed, though, and there's no father listed, but the mom lives on the other side of the state in Elk Creek, Nebraska. So they decide to go visit Jesse's birth mom, whose name is Julia. And when they knock on her door, which she's living in this house that's, kind of like creepy looking. There's like a keep out, no trespassing sign there. So it looks like, she really doesn't want to be bothered. And so it's not surprising that when they do knock on her door, she doesn't open it right away. And she opens instead the mail slot and tells them, like, what do you want? Who are you? And they say that they're the FBI. And she tells them to put their badges in the slot so that she can check them. And she does, and she opens the door.
That was a little weird to me because I'm pretty damn sure FBI agents wouldn't put their badges in a slot.
Yeah,
Why the fuck would they let go of their badge? No, ma'am. I can't give you my badge. You need to open your door. Fucking FBI.
Mm-hmm. And then I thought, like, well, it sounds like they had pretty good copies because all of these people are like checking their badges and they're fine. Yeah. So she opens the door and they tell her that they're there to ask about her son. She says she doesn't have a son. And they say, yeah, well, he was born in 1998 and you gave him up for adoption. And then they ask if it was a normal pregnancy. Like they just go into that.
That was pretty bold.
Yeah.
I was like, why? I mean, we start understanding why, but like, I don't know.
Right. And her reaction is not what perhaps a normal person's reaction would be, because yeah, you would just be like, what the hell do you mean by that? But apparently she kind of does know what they mean, because she just takes off running inside the house, and they run in after her, and she takes them to the kitchen and throws salt on them, and they stop and just like look at her, and she asks, "You're not demons?" And Dean is like, "How do you know about demons?" And then we cut.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I loved it, actually. I kind of loved that moment because nobody ever knows about demons.
Right. And so as soon as you see her like throw salt at them, you know exactly, oh wow, she knows.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought she might be
weird going on here.
A hunter or something. I was really hoping for that, but
yeah.
Unfortunately, we see that the reason she knows about this is a little bit different.
Yeah, a little bit fucked up.
Yeah. So they're sitting at the kitchen table, and she tells them about how she was possessed by a demon. She remembers everything, and she was possessed for 9 months. Apparently, it used her body to give birth to a baby, and then after birth, she knew exactly what to do. And we do see this, like, where she's giving birth in this, like, dark, damp basement
warehouse. It was hard to tell.
Yeah, and And it's interesting because she's kind of like fighting with it, you know. She's
Mhm.
kind of, and they didn't really indicate why she was able to break out of the trance, and why this is happening, why she's moving in between
Mhm.
consciousness, unless, you know, I just assumed like there was, I don't know, there's something about labor that's like allowing her to do this.
Yeah,
Um
maybe. I don't know. I mean, I feel like any guess I have is going to be a guess. Like, they really didn't talk about that. And it was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'm glad you got out, but weird.
mhm. Because before this, we've literally only seen one person able to like break out of a demon's hold for just a second,
Uh
and that was
huh. And
Bobby
he
when
knows
he
what he's
stabbed
fucking doing.
himself. Yeah. So, I don't
I
know.
don't know either.
But she breaks out of this trance for a second, this possession, and she drinks salt. And yeah, because she pours it all over her mouth and
It
face.
made me like feel like I was being suffocated just watching her. Like I was feeling like I was going to choke or
Yeah,
something.
it made me want chapstick for sure.
That too. And water. Like, I really just need a glass of water.
Yeah. So, um, we see her, you know, the demon shoots out of her. She's left there alone. The baby is just there on the floor. And she says that she wanted to kill the baby, but decided to give the baby up for adoption and just took off. And they ask who the father was, and she says, there was no father. She was a virgin. Hmm.
What? Immaculate conception with a D.
Perhaps it was a midi-chlorians.
Ooh, wait, but does that mean that there's an immaculate conception, but on the other side, that the angels, like, that's how Jesus was made?
Yeah, I think, well,
Like, an angel could possess a person and then have, like, a half angel, half person, and that would be Jesus. Because he's the Christ.
that,
Because they said that
yes.
the little boy is the Antichrist. Like, those kinds of beings are the Antichrist, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just wondering.
Although
I'm throwing it
it's,
out there. That's real weird, but
no, no, no. Yeah, I think so. Although it's kind of like funky because, like in this case, um, like the demon being inside of her impregnated her, right?
yeah.
Because I thought where this was going was like, okay, the
And how
demon.
does that work? I'm sorry.
No, yeah, you're right because they don't say, they don't tell us,
Mm-mm. No.
and
What were you gonna say?
well, just that I had expected this to go the route where it was like it was a little bit more touchy, where, you know, the demon took over her body
And made her have sex with
and made her
somebody?
have sex with somebody, and then she got
Yeah.
pregnant, and then this
Yeah.
baby is like part demon because of like this mixture or whatever. But no, it's because of the fact that the father is the demon, right? But how?
I think
Yeah.
so. I don't know how.
Why? I guess why haven't we heard about this? I don't know.
I don't either. You would think that they would just do that more often, as weird as it is to say, so they could have
Well,
like all these
yeah.
little antichrists. I don't know.
Exactly, though, right? So it doesn't.
But I also wonder about the type of demon that did it. Like, I don't know who that is. And I was kind of hoping that they would say, like, oh, that's so and so, like like a big bad demon or something.
Yeah, but no, they don't. They don't really indicate that he's
That it's any.
anybody special.
Right. Oh, no,
Um,
May.
I don't know either. And Castiel only has like a little bit of answers about it because when they go back to the motel, Castiel whooshes there and he says that they're lucky they found the boy. And Dean asks, what do they do? And he says to kill him. Like he's just super serious. And he says the child is half demon and half human, but it's far more powerful than either. Other cultures call this hybrid Cambion or Katako. You know him as the Antichrist.
Weird.
So weird. And you know what? I did not
Yeah.
even look this up. Let me look it up real quick.
Oh yeah, like those names.
Real quicksies. Because what the fuck is he telling us, man?
Yeah. What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. Okay, so I couldn't find Katako, but I did found Cambion.
Okay.
So it says that it's the offspring of an incubus, succubus, or other demon with a human, or of an incubus and succubus. So they've been fucking.
Hey.
So the wow. Okay, I want to read this book. The earliest evidence appearance of the word is in the 1818 French language Dictionnaire Infernal. So
okay.
that sounds cool.
Interesting. Is that like the Dictionary of Hell?
The Dictionary of Hell. Yeah. I want to
read that.
Like a death metal band song. Just like Dictionary of Hell or something.
That's a good one. It could be like a Tenacious D song though.
And then it's also in the Malleus Maleficarum.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which says, okay, so it says in there, moreover, to beget a child is the act of a living body, but devils cannot bestow life upon the bodies they assume. Because life formally proceeds only from the soul, and the act of generation is the act of the physical organs which have bodily life. Therefore, bodies which are assumed in this way cannot either beget or bear. And then, wait, there's more. It says, because of this inability to create or nurture life, the method of the creation of a cambion is necessarily protracted. A succubus will have sex with a human male and so acquire a sample of his sperm. Then this she will then pass on to an incubus. The incubus will, in his turn, transfer the sperm to a human female and thus impregnate her. What? So this is like a
full
triangle
circle
of bodily fluids
in
order to get this.
Wow.
This is insane.
So if that's how it works, human would have had to have had sex with a demon. Like Sam did with Ruby?
Oh. Oh. You just made the scariest face, like you had a demon standing in front of you right now. Like you freaked me out.
Scary face. Okay, but also that can't possibly be Sam's like weird roundabout son because that kid's kind of old.
Yeah.
This stuff just
it hasn't been that long. I see where that face came from. But yeah, I mean, I guess technically, according to this, like Ruby could have
then had
taken
sex with a demon dude, and then the dude,
another demon dude,
would have. But then, how did demons have sex with each other?
But how are they passing the sperm to each other? You know what I'm saying? Like,
they just carry it around in a spoon. I don't know. This is very weird.
I don't know either. This is, I mean, according to this book, there are many arguments for how this process can be possible, but I don't quite know about that. And in popular culture, it says that Merlin is said to be a source. This is supposed to be the source of his power, that he's a known cambion.
What? Never knew that.
Yeah. Dante and his brother Virgil from the Devil May Cry series are cambions. Did you remember Devil May Cry? It was like a video game.
But I know those character names. I've definitely heard
it was
of this. But I never played it.
I never played it, but I just really recall it very well. And then Hellboy is a cambion, apparently.
That's cool. I love Hellboy.
Cool, yeah. Being the offspring of the demon Azael.
That's weird.
Almost Azazel.
Weird.
Almost. And a human woman, Sarah Hughes. So, yeah. Did we just talk about a lot of sperm right now?
Yeah, lots and lots of sperm. And like how sex works.
So I don't know, Christine. I don't know. This doesn't really give us all the answers that we need.
No, but that's interesting. It gives me a little more context. Like maybe that is kind of how it works. But I don't know. At least it's some sort of explanation because otherwise we got nothing.
And they're basically in this episode like, this is the mythology, like it or leave it. So
deal with it.
Mm-hmm. So just then, Cass sits down on a chair. Mind you, he's been very serious. He just said, let's kill a young boy just seconds ago. Okay.
Yeah. So speaking of getting heavy, it's heavy. Like what that was just like from 0 to 100.
Oh yeah. It was very
I mean, with that whole scene before too with her, but like it just felt like it came out of the blue and I was suddenly like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm.
And completely forgot about a tooth fairy and all that shit.
Very season 4 Cass, I thought. Like, oh, okay. Like he still has these thoughts, these feelings, these inclinations, you know? Like I thought we were kind of beyond that, but I guess not.
Yeah.
But he's like super serious, and then all of a sudden he sits down on a chair and we hear this like fart noise come out.
This was so absurd.
And his face though does not change. Like it's just he just sits down and he's just very straight faced. And of course Dean had put the whooping cushion there, and Dean does make like a bit of a face. And then Cass just says, that wasn't me. And very seriously, and he grabs a cushion out from underneath him.
This was so ridiculous though, because it was like they pushed every fart button on the soundboard.
Yeah, it wasn't. Maybe that's why it was like $5. It was just like all the different types of farts. It was like a deluxe whoopee cushion, you know?
It makes every fart sound.
Yeah, just wet ones.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Loud ones.
I think you're
all
right.
of them.
And
the little just gassy ones too.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
So Cass just continues to, tell him, because they're kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about, the Antichrist? And he's like, the Antichrist is not Lucifer's son. Like that's a lie. It's just demon spawn, but it is one of hell's biggest weapons. So apparently Jesse, as this demon spawn, has got a force field around him because his power hides him from other angels and demons. But with Lucifer risen, he'll become stronger and stronger, which will draw the demons to him. And if they take him, Lucifer will train him. And that child, he says, will destroy the host of heaven, which basically means that all of the angels will die.
Yeah. I didn't really understand that's what he meant by like destroy the hosts of heaven. At first I thought he meant God.
No, me neither. Yeah, I was like, is that what you mean? But I guess Dean, that's why we needed Dean to clarify for us. Oh, okay. You're going to nuke the angels, right? So Sam's like, look, we don't just kill children. And Cass tells him a year ago, he would have done, meaning Sam, would have done whatever it took to win this war. And Dean tells Cass that they won't kill him. Instead, they're going to take the kid to Bobby. And Cass is like, if you get him angry, he's going to use his powers against you and you can't hold him. He can jump across the world with his thoughts. And Sam says, look, they'll tell him the truth and maybe he'll make the right choice. And then fucking Cass comes out here and he says, I know. He says, "You didn't, and I can't
He's
take
so
that
mean to
chance," and
Sam.
disappears.
He's so mean to him. Like,
I
is he doing this
know.
because I don't know. Like, he is like on Dean's side and he thinks that Sam was like awful to Dean and he's like, you hurt my friend's feelings.
Maybe because Cass was being perfectly fine and just very different with Dean back when they were kind of doing their own partnership together. Like he was, it's also so weird because the last time we saw Cass in a really big context was uh alternate universe Cass or whatever we want to call him, like hippie
That was so funny.
orgy, smoking Cass. And so like this is this is definitely a different kind of Cass that we're seeing. But even in the context of present day, so it must be that he just, I don't know, still kind of uptight around
Yeah, I
Sam
don't
or
know. I
something.
mean, it was kind of a shock from the cast that we've most recently seen where he's like loosening up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
He was really very rude.
he was. Um, so next we see Julia's locking up at her house, and a mailman comes up to her and startles her. And she says, "Oh, sorry, I'm just shaky today." And the mailman says, "Well, talking to the Winchesters will do that to you." And his eyes
Fuck!
turn black and he grabs her, and he tells her that he knows that they told her where their son is, like their son, like this is a demon
Ah!
that had taken over her and impregnated her.
Yeah.
And smoke comes out of his mouth and pours into hers, and she's possessed.
That's awful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dang.
So he was just like waiting in the wings this entire time, basically.
Yeah. And
It's
this poor
crazy.
woman, like, it's such a, I don't know, like, hey, you know that trauma that ruined your entire life? Let's revisit it,
Mm-hmm.
like, in a very real way. I
Yeah.
don't know. And I almost kind of expected for her, like, if she's been kind of like living in fear of being possessed again, like, she would have some kind of like awesome, I don't know, homemade weapon or something up her sleeve for like if she was
Right. She'd be
attacked or like jumped.
ready.
Yeah. But she
Or
didn't.
she would have had an anti-possession,
Charm or something.
you know. Yeah.
But she didn't have anything.
No, she didn't. So back at the farmhouse, Cass appears. The demon knife is being held behind his back. And Jesse calls for his mom and dad because there's this fucking stranger here in the living room. But Cass says that they're sleeping. He apologizes to Jesse and he raises the knife.
Eh.
And then Sam and Dean bust in. But when they come into the living room, all they see is Jesse. And they ask if he saw a man with a trench coat. And Jesse looks down. Dean follows his gaze. And we see that Cass has been turned into a little action figure.
That was so weird. I was just like, okay, fine. We're going back to the silly, weird stuff now. Whatever.
This episode, you know what it reminded me of? Like all these silly little things. Charmed. Charmed is like this. Like,
Oh, really? Is that what this
yeah.
is like?
Yeah, it is. It's
I
it's
never watched
incredibly
it.
silly. Like I love it. But it's so bad, but like in a good way, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah, where it's
it's like,
just like
what the
fun.
fuck is this? What are these effects, you know? Oh, but her top looks really cute, that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
no, it was weird because it was like we're already in the serious part of the episode. What is happening, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's how I was feeling about
And
it.
he, his reaction was to turn him into an action figure. Like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I don't know
Why
either.
would that be his instinct? So we then move into a scene where Dean places Cass gently on the mantle, and they explain to Jesse that he's a superhero, basically. That's how they're going to explain it to him. But before they can talk too much to him, Sam and Dean are pinned against the wall. The possessed Julia is there, which I had a lot of problems with this, Christine, because if you recall, when Sam and Dean traveled to the other side of Nebraska, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like there was definitely a switch in time. They did allow for that.
Yeah.
Um, but it's nighttime when Julia is grabbed and possessed by the demon.
Oh, yeah. And it's
And
like she
it's,
just gets there right. Oh, yeah.
yeah, she's just there like real quick.
Yeah.
Unless it's because she's a demon, she
Do what, though? She's still in a human
can't,
body.
right? She can't do that, right?
No. Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
so. Ruby had a car.
Yeah.
Didn't really
Okay.
allow for that time.
Well, she's there, and Jesse tells her to leave them alone. And she says that she's his mother. She tells him that everyone has been lying to him. Those aren't his parents. They tell him lies, treat him like a child, and Sam and Dean aren't FBI agents. And she gets him really angry with telling him all of this. And Jesse balls up his fist. The lights start flickering. The house starts to move. It's like an earthquake, and walls start cracking. Sam tells him that it's true. They lied, but they'll tell him the truth. And it basically breaks the demon's hold on Sam. Jesse does this. He wants to hear what Sam will say. So Sam tells them their name. They're Sam and Dean. They hunt monsters, and that woman is his mother, but the thing inside is a demon. And she starts to argue, and Jesse tells her to shut up and sit down, and a chair drags itself to her, and she's forced to
That was
sit
kind of
down.
cool. Because I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe
Yeah, that
he's,
was
on our side. Yeah.
pretty badass. Yeah, he did that. He didn't to protect himself. He didn't I don't know, wire her mouth shut with braces or something
Yeah.
like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
That totally could have.
And
Yes,
pedicure.
that totally could have happened. Something silly like that.
Yeah, just to go along with the rest of the episode. So Sam tells him that he can go with her, but if he does, millions will die. Ooh, which is pretty
Yeah,
tough to
whoa, you
tell a
really
little
just
kid.
decided to tell him the whole truth. Okay.
And he asks if it's true if he's half demon, and Sam says yes, but he's also half human, and he can make the right choice, even if Sam didn't. And he gets watery
Aww.
eyes here. Oh, Sam. So that kind of, convinces Jesse. He tells the demon to get out, and the demon is forced out of Julia.
Mm-hmm.
Super powerful, this kid. Super powerful. That's basically
Yeah, I
Sam
thought he was going to tell
powers right
him
there.
in this conversation that they keep having, he says something to Jesse, and Jesse's like, so I'm a freak. But I thought Sam was going to say, like, no, you're special.
You're a special child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man.
What the hell? Oh my God. And that's why I'm I really don't like this episode because what the hell? We had already gotten rid of the special children, and all of a sudden they're bringing it back. And
Mm-hmm.
why is nobody talking about the fact that it's basically the same storyline as Sam's?
Yeah, no.
know?
I don't know.
Can we call Sam a little? No, I mean, he's not really. He wasn't birthed by a demon, but we should call him the Antichrist.
Mm-hmm.
So Dean asks Jesse to turn back Cass, and Jesse's like, fuck that guy. He's still mad, but understandably so. He just banished the demon. It's right after all of this action.
Yeah.
And he's mad, of course, that Cass tried to kill him. And Dean's like, okay, we'll talk about it in the morning. So in the morning, they tell Jesse that they need to take him somewhere safe to get trained to fight. Or I'm sorry, it's not the morning. It's still nighttime because
Yeah.
his parents slept throughout this entire thing. Like, what the
Yeah, I
fuck?
was wondering if like Cass put like some spell on them or something, because when he came over to Jesse the first time, he said something like, "Your parents are asleep and I promise you they'll sleep through the night," or something. So that made me think that he did something, but I don't know what.
Mm,
They didn't say.
yeah. Mm-mm. And you would think though that like once he was turned into a an action figure or doll or
Oh
whatever,
yeah,
that
maybe that would
he
like go away.
would break the spell, but I guess not. Um so they tell Jesse that they need to take him somewhere safe to get trained to fight. Family's important, but his parents could get hurt. They tell him it's his choice. And Jesse goes up to say goodbye to his parents. He's like, "Okay, yeah. I agree. I have to leave them." So he opens the door. His parents are still sleeping and he closes it. He doesn't say goodbye or give him a kiss or anything like that. And he goes to his own room where he lies on the bed and then looks at a poster he has of Australia.
That is
Which is
really
kind of
sweet.
sweet. Like that he dreams
Yeah,
of
it's cute.
going there. So Sam and Dean realize Jesse's been upstairs for a really long time and they go to look for him. Cass comes in right behind them and says that Jesse put everyone normal and vanished. Like everyone normal in the whole town. Like he already knows all of this. And just took off. And apparently he left a note that he had to keep his parents safe. He loves them and he's sorry. Dean asks how they can find him, but Cass says with his powers, they won't unless he wants to be found.
That's sad.
And
Well, and
that's,
that's also kind
yeah.
of like, okay, cool, great.
So what was all of this for?
Right. Now we've lost him. Is that okay? I don't know.
Yeah.
What happens to him now? I mean, I guess the only thing I could think was like the good part of this was like they got to talk to him and kind of like convince him, I think. Or, like Jesse obviously has a
Mm-hmm.
conscience and it seems like he wants to do the right thing. But it still just felt so rushed. Like, telling Jesse about all that, like, you just kind of accepted it really
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it could have been an episode where they dragged that part out and he had to like come around and like really understand, because he was just like, "Oh, what? I'm a freak? No, I'm a demon. Oh, okay." He was just like,
Okay,
he
cool.
just
Yeah.
believed whatever they said was the truth.
Right. Which is interesting because like we had already this whole thing was about him believing in all of these lies and stuff. And so
Mhm.
and when Dean did come to him and like tell him no, the buzzer won't hurt you, like he did believe so quickly. Like it was just so easy to change his mind,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is I don't know. So maybe that's kind of like just showing that he is just very vulnerable, that he will believe anything. And it stresses the importance of them having gotten to him first before that demon, because that demon really could have manipulated him.
Yeah. Totally.
Um, so we end the episode with Sam and Dean driving, and Dean tells him that they destroyed Jesse's life by telling him the truth. But Sam said that they had no choice. Dean says that he now understands why parents lie to their kids and he wishes their dad had lied to them.
That's
And
super
Sam,
sad.
I know. But, understandably so, right? Like
Mhm. Yeah, I
they
get it,
grew up in this
but
hunter life and, you know. And Sam agrees and the episode cuts to black just like that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um
Well, I don't know. I kind of got out all my feelings about it.
I think I did too. I really did not enjoy this episode.
I didn't either, which is kind of a shame because I I mean, as kind of fucking horrible as the concepts were at the end, it was still interesting.
I feel like, Jesse has disappeared. What's the point? What was the point of any of it? Of introducing this idea of the antichrist and demon spawn, and not connecting it with Sam. And he did a little bit because he was like, choice, and you can make the better choice than I can, and this and that. But it just feels so, I don't know, it just felt kind of like a shot in the dark, like with the special children in season 1/2, where they were like, this is kind of cool. Let's introduce this and see what we could do with it later. And I don't know if I should say this, but I don't think that they do anything with it later.
Stop it. Why wouldn't they?
I mean, spoiler alert.
Well, that's fucking stupid.
I have to like spoil it because
Why
I'm
wouldn't they
just so
do anything with
fucking
that?
pissed about it.
It could be such a huge thing. Like, you can toss that puppy back in anytime.
And I feel like right, like,
that's weird. What was the point of this episode?
There was no point. This is what I'm saying. And that's kind of why I do like want to spoil that a little bit, because it's like, when ranking this episode, this is a bullshit episode,
I am glad that you told me. You know that I am averse to spoilers, but that's some fucking bullshit. That is some fucking bullshit.
So I don't know. I don't even think. It's so funny because last episode, we ranked that really low. Like, it's down at 71 out of 87. I do feel like this episode had more in it than that episode. At least, like, it was a bit more enjoyable to watch. Question mark. But how much is the question?
I don't know. I mean, where are you saying it? I really have no, like, after that, I'm like, fuck it. You can put it at the bottom.
It's worse than bugs.
We need to redo the special episode we did about the worst episode. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, this is the worst episode. No, it's not. It really isn't. It just feels so like, why are you wasting my time with this?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I see, I mentioned that because Fallen Idols is the 71. Above that is Something Wicked, and then the pilot and Skin, and on and on. I guess I feel like it is kind of better than those, but where I kind of see it leveling out is around like 60. I don't know. Like around there, but I don't know in which direction for me. Right now 60 is Yellow Fever,
I really
which that writing team had written.
I hated that one more than this one. Playthings. I don't know.
Yeah. No Exit and Roadkill. Oh, see, Roadkill was the one where she's a ghost and she's on the road.
Oh, haha.
And No Exit was the one with H.H. Holmes. See, I like those two better. I really love Playthings too, like, but I guess I don't know.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I didn't love those episodes, but they were more fun than this one, honestly.
Yeah, and I feel like I got more from them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So are we thinking like the new 60.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm feeling.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
I'm curious to know what our listeners think.
Yeah, me too. Because maybe...
Do you understand our anger? Or what do you guys
I don't know.
think?
We being too harsh?
Let us know. Sound off. Email us at highwaytohellpodcast@gmail.com with all of your thoughts. So we could do a little, we haven't done a little mailbag minisode yet this season. That would be really nice. And please let us know your thoughts on this episode because what the hell
is happening?
I mean, like, I love the moments.
Yeah.
I love certain moments. I love the whoopee cushion cast sitting on it and farting. That's that. I think that's the only thing that I really love.
Yeah. I mean, I think those are the parts I was thinking of at the beginning when I said that parts of it worked for me. Like I liked the kids, and Dean was funny even though he was gross. But it was just it just felt like a hodgepodge episode or something.
It did feel really, I didn't know like where my emotions should be. We know that I Believe the Children Are Our Future, episode 6 of season 5, is going in as a new number 60. And this one's going in the trunk. Well, unfortunate, but I'm really looking forward to the next episode. You did get a little tease that we talked about with that soon segment, but season 5, episode 7, The Curious Case of Dean Winchester is next episode, and that's a fun one.
That's good. I'm glad. It's going to be my episode, so I'm going to have to watch it in depth. I'm kind of over, like after these last 2 episodes, I'm kind of over the hokey stuff for the moment.
Yeah, I think that one is a bit still hokey. It's a bit silly, but it's better done, I think.
Okay, good.
And I don't know who wrote that one, that I don't know. They were just like giving, because Julie Siege did the last one, right? And I don't know, she hasn't done that bad in the past. So curious.
Yeah.
Well, you've got writers. Wait, I need to confirm this. Is this true?
What?
Is this true? You've got writers Sarah Gamble. Okay. Yes. And Jenny Klein. This is her first next episode. So, hey, you can't go wrong with Sarah Gamble, though. We know that. So there you go. All right, but as you guys are awaiting that episode to come out, please send us your thoughts again at highwaytohellpodcast@gmail.com. Send them to us through Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Follow us if you're not following us at Highway to Hell Podcast. Those are our handles on all of those social media platforms. And this is something that we haven't, I always forget to mention. Leave us a rating and review on iTunes. That really, really helps us out.
Yeah. It's been a while since we mentioned that for sure.
I know. And I think we've been getting a lot more new listeners. So welcome. I don't know if you guys are starting from now or you're OCD like me, you're starting from the beginning and eventually you'll get to now. But if you haven't yet and you like our show, please leave us a rating and review because it's super awesome and it draws I don't know. It does something with algorithms and stuff in iTunes, and it just shows others hey, you like us. This other person might like us too. So,
yeah, it pumps us up.
Yeah.
Please
so do that.
You.
All right. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. Until next time, we'll see you guys on the Highway to Hell. Bye.